week's scenario is Incursion from the 2014 Steamroller packet. It does not consist of kill box and consists of 3 flags, one central flag which can be controlled for 1 CP or dominated for 1 CP, and 2 outer flags that can be controlled for 1 CP and dominated for 2 CPs. However, at the end of the second player's first turn, you roll to determine which of the 2 outer flags will disappear, leaving you only 2 flags to score in the scenario.
Okay, for today's list, I have Irusk, the Wardog, Conquest, because who doesn't like a big, beefy metal monstrosity? The Great Bears of Gallowswood, a max unit of Shocktroopers, Men of War Shocktroopers, a max unit of Winter Guard with their unit attachment, and of course, Kovnik Jozef Grigorovich, or Kovnik Joe. Then the Iron Fang Kovnik with a Berserker, and the Man of War Drakhun without dismount.
Hello everybody, Taodark here. This week I was going to run my Epic Borka list, or Berka. The list has a couple synergies with it, with the Axer Impaler for countercharge, the Bomber for potential assassination runs, and then the Axer can rush Snapjaw. The Pyre allows me to strength bonus and another ranged ability during feat turn. This list actually is using Victor Pendrake, but normally I use Linus Arisal. I just didn't have her in my bag at the time. Troll deployment. My opponent sets his Conquest center left, so immediately I'm going to be putting a majority of my infantry killing on my left hand side, because he's probably going to place his infantry straight across from that. So Wrong Iron, Snapjaw, and Bomber and such will be on the left. Borka, Stone, and Horgle stay in the center. They're going to be using that wall for the majority of their protection, and that way Borka can pull the extra armor off of the wall due to transmute from the Earthborn. And then the Axer will stay near Snapjaw to give him Pathfinder and speed so that he can actually go charging through the woods. And then the Pyre and the Bomber are going to stay central for any potential assassin run.
Okay, I ended up putting the Conquest towards the top of the screen to go between the 2 flags behind the forest because it had Pathfinder. And then I used the Winter Guard towards the bottom of the screen to allow them to be able to do one of the other 2 flags if needed. Basically, because it's the whole Winter Guard Death Star, I went ahead and put the entire unit with Kovnik Joe down there. And then the Shocktroopers went in the middle, because they're slow. Made more sense to have them in the middle to get to the one flag that I knew wasn't going to go away. Then the Drakhun went to the top, and the Great Bears went to the top. Both have the speed to get around the corner to the flag.
Troll's turn 1. So I'm looking at the scenario. The Conquest is a concern of mine. The Earthborn's probably about the Earthborn and Berka are probably about the only things that are actually going to be able to do anything to it underneath the Pyre strength bonus, or Pyre and Stone. But I'm not sure if that's necessarily going to be a for sure thing. Wrong Iron Snapjaw has the potential of doing damage, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get much. POW 17's on a Conquest can do work, but he's pretty far off from getting to that zone. So a lot of my movements this turn is I'm kind of going to abandon that my right hand side, play for the center flag, which doesn't disappear, and play for the left flag, the one closest to the bottom of the screen, in hopes that the upper one is the one disappears. And then that kind of puts the Conquest into a situation where he's only really contributing to the central flag combat, where Berka and the Earthborn will be waiting. So Berka advances after dumping everything, or charges after dumping everything to a stone, and he just charges a random man of war. And Horgle puts hot shot up, and he charges as well, and then the Pyre runs to get in front. Right there, I'm just confirming with my opponent that we are treating the bridge walls as linear objects. the Earthborn kind of running over there, because now he's gaining the benefit of not only the armor bonus from the linear wall, but the water effect for defense as well. So I'm just kind of advancing the stone up. Stone puts up aura. So with the transmute that was cast from the Earthborn onto E-Borka and the stone aura, he's now an armor 22. I know the Conquest can shoot. I'm just not familiar with if they're able to reach all the way up there or not. The rest of the army is just kind of advancing, prepping for next turn. The Impaler is going to truffle off to the side so that he will be able to far strike the bomber who advanced up or ran up behind the wall. And then I'm just putting the Axer, prepping him for Snapjaw to be able to charge with Pathfinder next turn. Again, I mentioned in my army list that Victor Pendrake's actually supposed to be Lanissa because with the stack of Rush, the stack of Hunter's Mark, and then being able a +2 for charge, Snapjaw can get super far when he's charging something living.
Okay, turn 1 was real simple. I went ahead and allocated 1 focus to the Conquest because I needed it to get up the table. I then activated the Drakhun. He ran. The Great Bears then activated. They ran. As you can tell, the speed really helped out for them to clear around the corner there. The Great Bears ended up going base to base because they get +2 arm for being base to base. Now the Winter Guard are going, and they decided to run because I just need them up the field without knowing which flag was going to go away. So I went ahead and ran them in kind of a weird formation. Kovnik Joe came up and put up Courage of the Forefathers, which is basically gives them fearless and tough for the turn. Then the Men of War, they end up running. Speed 4 kind of makes them slow, but I definitely like this whole turn was about getting up the field as fast as possible. Kovnik activates, he runs. His Berserker activates, it runs. Irusk then activates. I put superiority up on the Conquest because, well, who doesn't like a speed 6 Conquest? He then advances, and then, you know, I thought with the lack of Pathfinder in his army that it'd be a good idea to put up Inhospitable Ground, which makes his entire control area rough terrain. Unfortunately, that did leave him without any focus whatsoever. And come to find out, that really hurts. So then I run the Conquest. Could have run it all the way that far forward, but putting it that close to his beast would be a bad idea.
Troll's turn 2. So I'm looking at the table. Irusk isn't sitting on anything right now. He's behind a Man of War, which is blocking his line of sight at the moment. We roll for the flags, and of course the one that I wanted to stick around disappears. The hand motions that we're doing is we're talking about this area, because we were just discussing, you know, that I didn't want that flag to disappear. But hey, if you're not having fun when you're playing this game, you're doing it wrong. So we turn around, and I really am contemplating the assassination run. With the fact that E-Borka's feat makes all models invisible, or I'm sorry, stealth, I can actually use his feat to turn the Man of War in front of Irusk, stealth, and because Irusk is behind the Man of War, he is not within one of the wall. So I really, like, I'm contemplating hard because it's one of the scenarios where I could go for the assassination run and potentially, you know, with good bombs from the bomber and some good shots from the Pyre Troll and maybe even a bomb from E-Borka, maybe I can pull it off. But if I do, I'm standing on a hill in front of a Conquest, ready to get charged and die. So I'm just really struggling with, do I want to do this? Which is why I'm not moving. And I just decide, you know what, no guts, no glory, go all in. So I advance him forward, and I use my control area to confirm that I'm only going to be catching the Man of War and not Irusk. So I feet. I turned him ever so slightly because I used Berserker to put Far Strike on the Pyre Troll, because I'm going to use him in the feet turn, and also putting out Transmute on myself because I'm still within 2 of that wall, so I'll still gain the armor bonus, so that if this does go wrong, maybe I live. But we will have to see. So going for the assassination, toss a bomb. I'm obviously going to scatter, and it scatters all out of the way, but it was just, I had a bomb, I might as well throw it and hope it deviates towards Irusk. Any damage you can put out is better than nothing. So now I activate the Pyre Troll, advancing him up so that I can use his 12-inch to shoot Irusk. And then completely forgetting the fact that Inhospitable's in. So where the Pyre was, he would have immediately, the first inch that he stepped in would have been inhospitable. So I cut the movement to 2.5 from where he was. We push him back to that point. And I go for a shot on him. It unfortunately deviates onto the Conquest. I like the Conquest on fire, not the target I wanted to, but hey, maybe, maybe it'll do something. Probably not, but maybe. So Impaler activates, Impaler throws Far Strike on the bomber, and then I activate the bomber. I am about an inch from where it takes me to get to Inhospitable, and then from there we measure out the rest of my movement, which is like I want to say it was a 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches or 3/4, something like that. But I move it. I confirm with my opponent that where I was is an accurate move. He agreed. And then I target Irusk again. Unfortunately, I was just out. So now it deviates, catching, and it was a 4-inch, so it actually catches to the Man of Wars, but we completely forget to roll. I end up rolling it later. My opponent asked me to roll that damage. And then the last one, it does manage to clip Irusk on the 4th inch. So I decide that I'm going to boost, and I roll a 6/6/5, which is fantastic because I did 10 points of damage to him. And that's, I mean, I'm out of shots now. I've used both my bombs. I've used my Pyre. I've used my grenade from Berserker, and he's still up, but he's suffered a huge amount of damage. So hopefully this is going to put it in such a situation where Irusk is going to have to play extremely defensively, knowing that I have range elements, but now I'm sitting here going, crap, the assassination run's not working. I am completely out in front of a Conquest, so I need to do things about that. So give myself some time. I move over to the left-hand side. I'm not ready to commit Wrong Eye and Snapjaw yet, so I just advance him up and submerge both Snapjaw and Wrong Eye. Let me just say, just as a side note, running 3 battle groups and trying to keep 3 different colored tokens organized as to who's which is caster and who's which is beast is really struggling with me. I only have 2 different colored tokens at the moment, so I'm definitely going to need to get, or 3 different colored tokens at the moment, so I'll have to get another set for when I run this 3 battle group list. Because, yeah, not having different colors is a bit of an issue, just trying to keep track of who's what and when's where. So I'm kind of looking at the situation. I'm going, okay, well, Earthborn's near some difficult terrain. I'm just going to run him forward. Ideally, I should have kept him close to the left-hand side because I completely forgot there are freaking Great Bears right over there, and now they're in my back arc, so that's always good. So I was really just kind of focusing, trying to find a way of blocking the Conquest.
Okay, after the last turn of getting hit that hard, it really made me realize that maybe I was a little too far forward or a little too bare naked. So with that, I ended up keeping superiority and allocated the Conquest 3 focus. My thought process was that if I could take out the Earthborn, I should be able to open up a charge lane to Borka. So the Great Bears activate, and luckily for me, they are all in the back arc. So they charged the back arc and started swinging. Luckily, even with his feet up, the backswing is part of the special attack or a star attack from the Great Bears. So he did get to make both swings before they became frozen from hitting one of his war beasts. I should have probably mentioned which ones were making the swings when my opponent was marking the damage. Unfortunately, we just kind of went with whichever order worked best for my opponent, and well, worked best without knowing, and ended up to where it was the 2 Great Bears that were closest to his army that ended up getting frozen. Because it ended up just taking 2 of the Great Bears because the dice rolls were fairly decent for killing off. No, it took 3 of them, but with the third one ended up killing it, so it did not become frozen. And if they would have failed, I would have ended up using the Drakhun to come in and hopefully finish him off. Now activate Irusk. He advances forward, hopefully getting the wall bonus. I thought about popping feet, but I decided against it. But now that the Conquest is free to move, I figured might as well go for broke and have that happen. So I charge my threat range. It's all in. I'm able to get Conquest up onto the hill within melee range of Berserker, and 1 for charging, of course. And with superiority up, I only need 6s to hit. I hit the first time. Roll pretty well because it's a straight dice because of everything else that Berserker has. He's armed 22, which is also the POW of the Conquest. But he ends up transferring it. So I go swing again, miss. Buy my first attack, miss. Oh, no, I hit, but it's not very much damage, and he ends up taking the damage. And then I buy my final attack, and I fail. So I managed to hit 2 out of the 4 attacks, needing 6s. Not the greatest. So now I have to go through and do damage control, hopefully to try to lock enough stuff down to where I don't get shot again. First turn really kind of hurt. I end up activating Kovnik Joe. He moves forward. He does For the Motherland, which gives the Winter Guard the boosted attack rolls. And then they end up advancing forward. Because they have Grape Shot because of the unit attachment, I went ahead and started doing spray attacks, hoping to whittle something down. Because I knew I couldn't, at a POW 10, I couldn't do too much to Berserker sitting on arm 22. So I went ahead and started spraying the bomber, hoping to hit some of the stones, some of the stone Scribe unit. For the Forefathers up, for the Motherland up, I ended up, I was able to hit a lot of them and not damaging a lot. I was able to kill off one or two, but not very many from the 2 sprays that I had available. And then, of course, the unit takes, at the end of their activation when they're spraying, then their activation, they end up taking the order of Bob and Weave, which ends up giving them +2 defense. It probably won't help them out too much, but at least ways I can pretend like that's going to help. I activate the Kovnik, I move him forward. He does Shield March, which allows units that have Shield Wall, when they advance with the Shield Wall order, they get +2 inches of movement. So that gives them allows them to move up 6 inches in Shield Wall. I then take the Berserker, it advances forward, trying to help block off the Kovnik a little bit, hopefully also getting in to a place to help attack if I survive.
Roll turn 3. So, Armor 22 Berserker was able to survive a Conquest. I have no idea how. I honestly probably should be dead to rights right now. Even with transfers in at Armor 22, a good spike on the attacks that do get through should kill Berserker. So, yeah, luck was definitely on my side in that last turn, and not with my opponent, unfortunately for him. So I'm going through that whole 3 battle groups, trying to figure out who's got what and where the focus fury goes. And I have a Conquest on my caster, and last I heard, having a Colossal in melee with your caster is never a good thing. So I've been giving an opportunity to finish the deal from the assassination of last turn, and I'm going to take the opportunity. With Far Strike, and because E-Borka moved forward, I know that he's now in range of the bomber. The bomber's 12 inches because he was just barely out last time. But now he's got the benefit of the wall, so I'm going to have to deal with that. So I'm going to sacrifice my movement to get the aiming bonus. Since none of the Winter Guard have reach, I'm not engaged with anybody, so I can afford to not move or to stay there and still be able to toss my bombs. And then ideally, if the double bombs doesn't work, then I could rotate Berserker around the Conquest base so that he gets closer to the flag. And then since I'm not keeping up anything, just using his Fury stat to cast 2 Frost Hammers at E-Borka as well. In the reason that the Conquest got switched out for the wreck markers, not because he's actually dead, but because I don't want any of the movements to be improperly done because I'm trying to get around Conquest hands or something like that. So we put the base marker down just to see where things are. So I move the Impaler up. He puts Far Strike back on the bomber. Like I said, we knew that it was in 12, but just to be sure, measuring just to make sure. Obviously boosting the bomb because he's got the increased defense with the wall. Managed to hit, and then we just figure out the how much armor he is with Furies on it, and it was just enough to kill.